So if you see the behind the scenes, you'll see there's two red ones here shooting 4K. And I brought with me a Scarlet and an Epic. So these are the next generation of red cameras that are just emerging onto the market. This one is working on one major big studio action movie right now and getting ready to do 4 or 5 others. And then it'll be in mass production in the next few months. The really interesting thing about the Red, the company that I work for, is that we've built no compromise tools regardless of the budget that you would have to shoot a movie. So there are small little indie movies that are getting an amazing amount of attention. A couple that are actually nominated for Academy Awards this year. One that won the Academy Award last year for Best Foreign Film. That are all done with the same tool that the world's biggest movie makers on the biggest budgets, like use an example of the new Pirates of the Caribbean 4 movie, that's shot with red cameras all in 3D. It's a huge, huge budget movie, right? But at the same time, there are small little indie movies that are shot with a very small crew, similar to this sort of dynamic in emerging countries all over the world, like Indonesia and Vietnam and Malaysia. That's, quite honestly, is what's so satisfying for us as a company, is to build a tool that is really an alternative to 35mm film that does not compromise on resolution and on the ability to shoot cinema, whereas many of the other cameras are glorified HD cameras, which is fine. They're TV resolution cameras. But the world of movie making is not TV resolution. The world of movie making is cinema resolution. So all the tools that we build are designed to shoot cinema. So the red ones that you're shooting now, this could go on the web, this could go on TV, and this could be put on a huge cinema screen, and it would look like a major motion picture. If you think about what these devices actually are, they are cameras, but really underneath the covers, they're supercomputers with a very, very advanced imaging system, a super high-resolution sensor that you put cinema lenses on in this case. And this is more sort of the entry-level indie filmmaker version with a fixed lens on it. So there are 2 different versions of red here. In terms of the post-production, the miracle of sort of working in this computer world with data is that this is our film magazine, our digital film magazine. And I would take this with a special reader and plug it into a Mac or a PC. I'm an Apple guy, so I always use Mac here, but you could use PC or Mac. And you can instantly read these files. You can instantly view them and bring them into an editorial system like Final Cut Pro or Avid and manipulate them and edit them right away. Or we build a special piece of hardware that goes inside a Mac or a PC called a Red Rocket card that actually is part of the Red universe and is specifically designed for post-production that allows every step of the post-production process to be without any rendering. So if I want to make the preferred editing format for, say, Avid or Final Cut, I load it into the computer and I set up a little export module in some software that we build called Red Cine X. It's a little free software that you can download from our website. I push a button, and if I shot an hour of red footage, an hour later I have an hour of ProRes or an hour of DNX ready to give to the editor. So it's essentially real time or faster than real time. I can also grade and finish my material in HD resolution all the way up to full 4K resolution without ever rendering, based on the ability to use this hardware card called the Red Rocket. So all the what we call DI systems that work in the industry to do the color grading and finishing for big movies and commercials and TV shows all support that hardware, that specialized hardware that we build. It's all real time. In terms of what we do, probably the most evolved, simplest, most logical steps in post-production of any camera, regardless of the manufacturer or the resolution. Yeah, so you're looking at sort of the big budget, super high end, even though they're about the same size. Super high end, this is going on the biggest movies in the world, this little tiny camera like this. So one example would be the new Hobbit that Peter Jackson is getting ready to do in 3D. He'll have many of these cameras in 3D rigs to shoot the Hobbit. The sort of junior version, even though that's sort of a misnomer because this is a high-end professional piece of gear without the high-end professional price tag, this is called Scarlet. So this is designed to probably end up being around $6,000 US, something like that. So this is not a $300 camera, obviously. It's a professional piece of gear. It has a professional lens, a professional system, but it records the same style of files, these super high-res red code files that are used in major motion pictures. So Peter Jackson's shooting this, and the indie filmmakers of tomorrow we'll be shooting this and then of course migrating into this or the Red 1, which you're shooting me on right now. If you look at the professional environment and take the restrictions on what people call professional, right? The people that are shooting with a high-end Canon or high-end Nikon digital SLRs, these cameras are $2,500 and up, right? Plus the lenses and everything else. You're starting to spend real money on these cameras, $4,000 or $5,000 on a real working system with a number of lenses and all the accessories. This camera sort of falls into that same price point. So if you're an indie filmmaker and you're using your Canon to shoot the behind-the-scenes shots and you're using this to shoot a movie, or you are a consumer that actually really grasps the idea of, I want to shoot my, like when I shoot my kids' pictures, I don't shoot it on a cell phone camera. I shoot it on a 5D or I shoot it on a Nikon because I want really high quality images, right? Well, I can get crazy, super high quality images. This camera compares to cameras that are of the sort of logic of $100,000 to $200,000 in cost. And this camera will either be at or exceed the image quality with a much more evolved workflow without using tapes and all this kind of archaic logic. This is super modern, and while this is designed as a professional tool, it is a professional tool, no doubt. This is going to have all kinds of interesting markets that we haven't even figured out yet. Kind of like what happened with the Red. I mean, I can tell you as one of the first people to work at the company and with a small core group of really brilliant people that helped develop this technology and bring it to life, the Red 1 that we're shooting on now, that it has exceeded all of our expectations. So far, you can't even sort of logically put it into words. You know, we thought it would be great if we had some indie films shoot on the Red and some smaller budget commercials and some things that would maybe move the mark a little bit. Little did we know that Peter Jackson and Steven Soderbergh and David Fincher and hundreds of other A-echelon directors would take it on projects that they could easily afford to shoot 35 on. But now we're making a choice to shoot a digital high-resolution negative for all the benefits that it brings, right? So that's really wonderful. In terms of the TV and commercial market, there are many, many television shows all around the world now that are shooting on Red instead of film, and many TV commercials for huge international brands like Budweiser and Toyota and Mercedes and good God, you name it, Taco Bell and all these fast food restaurants, and you know, these big, big international campaigns that span every genre, including fashion and hair and things where you would be very, very concerned with the image. Well, Red is all about creating the best possible image using a digital tool.